the first story of the night. And this actually just happened not too long ago. And we have Kenta Maeda heading to the Detroit Tigers. John Heyman breaking it first. And he actually just liked my comment that I put not too long ago. John, are you watching the show? You watching the show, John? I put the link on Twitter. Maybe he saw it. Probably not. But he says here, breaking, Kenta Maeda and the Tigers have a 2-year deal. And I put here, announce Montgomery to the Red Sox. John, I really want me some Jordan Montgomery. I would have put, Yamamoto. But, obviously that's not going to happen right now. But maybe Montgomery can happen right now. I'm just saying. But my thoughts on this, hey, it's a fine signing. The Tigers, this pretty much spells the end for Eduardo Rodriguez and the Tigers, in my opinion. That pretty much tells me that he's not going to be coming back. At least I would think he's not going to be coming back. But the fact that the Tigers are adding a veteran guy in Maeda, he just recently had Tommy John surgery. He came back this past season. Looked okay for the most part. 20 starts, 21 games overall. ERA at the 4.23, the FIP at a 4.02. And if we're looking here at some smaller numbers, 10 strikeouts per 9, 2 walks per 9. He was a little prone to the home run last year, right around 1.5 home runs per 9 this past year. So there's going to have to be something done there. But for the most part, Maeda was pretty much a league average pitcher that gave you a decent amount of strikeouts. And with the Tigers, listen, the Tigers, they've done pretty well with their starting pitching, their young starting pitchers over the last couple of years. So maybe they see something in Maeda. And the fact that, they do have money to spend, and the fact that they're not even going after one of these bigger guys and they set their target on Maeda pretty early, that tells me that maybe they see something with Maeda that they feel like they can try and get more out of. If we take a look at Maeda here when it comes to StatCast, there are a good amount of reds. I mean, if you're looking at the off-speed run value, he was in the top 6% last year. Expected ERA, expected batting average were pretty decent. He gets a lot of guys to chase. Again, we looked at the strikeouts, 10 strikeouts per 9. That's pretty solid. Doesn't walk a lot of guys either. He has a good strikeout to walk ratio. And when you have that, that's a pretty nice place to start, right? The only problem with Maeda is last year he was giving up a lot of hard hit balls. He was giving up a lot of homers. He wasn't giving up a lot of ground balls. If we go back here to 2021, it was kind of the same thing with the ground balls, but he wasn't giving up as many hard hit balls. So I think, and maybe the Tigers think this too, is maybe they think here that, he was shaking off a bit of rust this past year, right? I mean, there were a couple of sloppy spots there, that probably, made his numbers go up even more. And if we go take a look at the game log here, he did have a pretty good stretch towards the end of the season, right? He had that one bad start against Cleveland. He gave up 6 earned and 4. And then there was that one start against the Yankees where he gave up 10 runs, but that was in the early going of when he came back from Tommy John, so that definitely didn't help at all. But if you look at the numbers towards the end of the year, I mean, he was looking pretty good. He had 7 innings, granted it was against the White Sox, but still 7 innings, 2 earned, 8 Ks. He had 8 Ks against the Reds on the road there, so he had some pretty good starts towards the end of the year there. So in the end, I do like this move. I think it's a really solid move for them. I don't think it's necessarily going to be better than Eduardo Rodriguez, but I think he's going to be a guy, if he's healthy, he's going to give you a decent start every 5 days. All right. And for the most part, it looked like he was way past his issues from when he had Tommy John prior. So in the end, I think it's a nice signing for the Tigers. It's not going to break the bank for them, but I think the big thing, what this says to me, and maybe Tigers fans will agree with me here, is I think they're going to really put the emphasis on the young starting pitching that they have. Yes, Eduardo Rodriguez was good for them last year, but Skubal, he came back last year, and he looked really solid. So I really think they're going to go gun-ho with the young starting pitching here. Skubal is going to be leading the way. Someone like Manning had a decent ERA last year. Casey Mize is coming back as well. Reese Olson, this is a guy. I think the Tigers, I don't think they really wanted to go heavy, in the starting pitching market. I think they wanted to maybe just add a piece like Kenta Maeda and really lean on the young guys for next year, right? You got Sawyer Long there as well, who did look okay in a very small sample size. So, and the bullpen, you got a good amount of arms in this bullpen. You got Lang and Foley and Vest and Holton and Diaz in the back here who had some good seasons last year. I'm really liking the Tigers for next year. I would like for them to try and add another bat. I think the big thing with the Tigers is they got to get something out of Javier Baez. There's no way he's going anywhere. No team is going to take that contract. They got to try and get more out of him. But in the end, they're really just going to have to lean on the youth of this team. And I do think this Tigers team can be really good next year. It's going to start with the starting pitching, but they need more offense. Could they go get another bat in this market? Could you maybe add a bopper like someone like Jorge Soler? I feel like a power bat like that could really go very well in the middle of this order. Spencer Torkelson, I see him taking another step forward next year. Riley Green, he did get hurt a bit last year. I see him maybe possibly taking another step. So let's see if they can add something else for the offense. But in the end, I do like this signing. I think it just adds a bit more stability into this rotation. I think losing Eduardo Rodriguez was tough, but the fact that you can add a veteran guy like Maeda, who did miss all of 2022, but I think that could end up being a blessing in disguise. Not a whole lot of mileage on the arm in the last couple of years. So let's see. With Maeda, he's got a bunch of good off-speed pitches. Let's see if they can get the home runs down with him a little bit, and that could end up being a bargain of a deal for next year. So, alrighty. We got a splash, everyone. We got a splash. We got Kenta Maeda to the Tigers. Let's get on to the bigger news. I really wish I had like a video, like some kind of a promo video saying just Shohei Ohtani daily. I just hit a button and then just something pops up like Shohei Ohtani daily. I wish I had that, but I don't have it. But we do have a little bit here on Shohei Ohtani. And, really, it feels more speculative than anything. But I think what it's telling us is maybe we're starting to see a more firmer idea of what his market actually is. So, John Hammond with an article this past weekend. And I am seeing here the lonely wolf who howls alone at the moon. It looks like I'm getting some lag. I'm sorry about that, everyone. If I'm getting some lag, I apologize. But the lonely wolf who howls alone at the moon has become a member for 24 months. He says here, it's been a minute. Glad I caught your stream. It's great to see you back, my friend. I always love seeing your name popping up in the chat. It's one of my favorite YouTube names that I've ever seen. Welcome back, my friend. And thank you for being a member for 2 years. Everyone, if you're thinking about becoming a member, go check it out on the little join button down there. So, yes, it looks like I'm actually having something. I've been having a bit of issues with my computer the past few days, so hopefully we'll be okay. Anyway, sorry, back to Shohei Ohtani. It says here, my goodness, is it just this website? I don't know what's going on. But it says here from John Heyman, the Dodgers, the Giants, and Cubs are believed going big for two-way superstar Shohei Ohtani, while the Padres, Rangers, Red Sox, Yankees, and many others are linked. I'm mostly focusing on the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Cubs. Could this be the main market for him? Are these going to be the three teams for Shohei Ohtani? I definitely think these three teams, in my opinion, and I'll get to one other team in just a minute. I have another story that we're going to take a look at. But in my personal opinion, I think the Dodgers, Giants, and the Cubs, I think, have a very strong chance of getting him. Because when you look at the circumstances surrounding those teams, right? The Dodgers, they're just perfect in so many ways. But when it, if you go back the last few years, it feels like that perfect fit of a team just doesn't happen. Right? Could that be the case here? Could that be the same thing, right? Where all of the check marks, all of the boxes are getting checked off, right? Feels like for sure this player is going to go to that team, and it just doesn't happen. I think in the end, what it's going to come down to, and I've mentioned this before, yes, all of these teams, they know what it's going to cost to get Shohei Ohtani, right? They're not going to be, I think, doing any crazy negotiations. I think there's pretty much a number out there that these teams know what it's going to cost to get him. I think it's really going to come down to sitting down with these teams, and does he simply feel comfortable at the table with those people? Maybe he won't even be able to explain it, right? Maybe he sits down and he just has a weird vibe, like with one of these. Let's say he goes and sits down with the Dodgers, right? And he's just got like this weird feeling, right? He's just not, something doesn't click. I don't know, right? With Ohtani, the biggest thing, if you go back to his time with the Angels, right, when he signed there, he said there was a big thing on, the atmosphere, right? It was like a family-like atmosphere, right? Will he get that same feeling with the Dodgers, right? Of course, the Dodgers, they're going to put the full court press, right? They're going to say, we got this for you, this for you, this for you. Yes, we have the money. Yes, we win every single year. But are they going to have everything else that he needs, right? The team physician for the Dodgers was actually the one that performed the operation on his elbow, right? Could that actually be a sign right there, right? I don't know, right? So I think it's going to come down to, is there going to be the comfort there? The small things, right? The health of Shohei Ohtani is going to be big for him, right? He's basically going to say, are you guys going to be able to take care of me? You're going to be able to take care of my body for the next 10 years, right? And whatever they present to him, if he feels like it seems all right with him, then hey, that's going to be a good thing. But if he goes to the Giants and he doesn't maybe like exactly what they have to say about taking care of his health, right? I think there's going to be a lot of those little things, especially with his health, that come into play. And simply just what they have, right? Looking at their farm system over the next 10 years, right? Looking at their player development. I think that's going to be a big thing in his decision. And that's why the Dodgers do have a lot going for them. But if you look at the Dodgers this past year, now I'm not saying this is going to be anything. And again, I think a big factor, and I could be wrong, I'm just speculating. Again, I'll repeat myself. I think a big factor when it comes to Ohtani is, are they going to be able to take care of his health long term, right? Does he feel comfortable with them? If you look at the Dodgers this past couple of years, they've got a lot of guys getting dinged up lately. All right, Gonsolin, Dustin May. I'm just saying. I don't know. Is he going to look at that and be like, those guys, they're getting hurt? I don't know. I'm already getting dinged up a little bit. I'm just saying. Who knows how big of a factor that'll be? I don't know. But I think that's something worth thinking about. The Giants, the big thing with the Giants is that they're just trying to just land someone. I personally think the best way to go, stop going after the top dog on the market. Go after some of the smaller pooches on the market. Go after Bellinger. Go after Chapman. Maybe go after one of these pitchers. Go after some of these lesser tier guys that are still going to cost you something, but spread the wealth out. I think that's what the Giants need to do. Stop trying to go after this top star, and instead go after multiple stars that are going to cost you less. That's what I think is going to be the best thing for the Giants, but they have the money. They want someone. They're not going to listen to me. They can get him, but it's going to come down to, will he want to go there? And the Cubs, right? The Cubs are one of the finalists for Ohtani back in the day, before he went to the Angels, right? They weren't on the West Coast, and that's always something when it comes to Ohtani and other players coming over from Japan, right? Those West Coast teams seem to have that advantage. But with the Cubs, right, this is a team, this is a franchise. They want to make winning a thing, man. They want to get back into that driver's seat, back to where they were in 2016, and they got a lot of young talent coming up. I think in the end, are they going to be able to just simply offer him? They will be able to offer him the money, right? They'll have the market for him there. But will the overall package be enough, right? Have they won enough recently to persuade him in that department? And another thing with Ohtani is we had Mark Feinsson and John Morosi. They did a mailbag the other day, and one person asked, is there a dark horse that fans should be paying more attention to? So Feinsson actually said my Red Sox. And, listen, I could sit here and say, yeah, my Red Sox, oh yeah, they're going to go after him. Personally, based off of how I've viewed this team over the last, 25 years, I don't see the Red Sox doing it. They have, after a couple of down years, they definitely have pulled the trigger, right, on some guys. Remember Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, Pablo Sandoval, my goodness, kill me. And then Hanley Ramirez, right? They've had those off seasons, right? David Price, after just, oh my goodness, not bringing back John Lester, still one of my most disliked moves of all time, or lack of moves, I would say. But they have definitely pulled the trigger when they feel like their back is against the wall, and when they feel like they need to make a splash, they go do it. Is Ohtani that splash? It could be. I'm not going to sit here and, go all giraffe neck Robbie on you over here, but like it could be. I don't know. With the Red Sox, the one big thing that has been connected with Ohtani is the whole New Balance thing, right? Their headquarters is in Boston. I personally don't think that's too much of a thing. Could it be? I don't think so. But I think the big thing is Ohtani eventually wants to get back to pitching. And I think the Red Sox, now that they have Craig Breslow, you got Andrew Bailey, who's a more respected pitching coach. I mean, sure, whatever. People keep leaning on this thing like, oh, he loves Fenway. Oh, he loves Boston. He loves pitching at Fenway. Oh, can we get the lazy reporting out of here? I mean, good grief. Get the lazy reporting out. I mean, I love going to Fenway, right? But like, if I was a free agent on the market, as much as I love the Red Sox, I mean, I'm not just going to go to the Red Sox just because I've loved the Red Sox my entire life and I've loved going to Fenway. I feel like a little kid when I go to Fenway Park. It's an amazing feeling whenever I step into Fenway Park. That doesn't mean if I was a player that I'm going to be going there. I'm going to be looking at everything. I think this is such a lazy thing to say, personally, just because a player. I mean, how many other players probably like going to Fenway, right? Well, maybe the visitors don't like going in the visitor clubhouse. I've read where it's not the best visiting clubhouse, and the batting cages are very cramped and everything. I don't know. I just think it's lazy to just use that as a thing. To me, I think there's a whole bunch of other things that come into play. They got these two guys now in Breslow and Bailey who are very heavy on pitching, right? The Red Sox, they've always had, for the most part, they definitely have swung and missed on free agents before that have not performed well with the bat. But they have had guys that have come over to Boston too and swing the bat well. So I think they'll have a good game plan for Ohtani if they were able to bring him in. I personally don't think it happens, but I won't hold out hope. I will hold out hope for it. Feinstein lists the Red Sox, and then Morosi, he puts here the Blue Jays are serious about pursuing Ohtani, and then he lists the Braves as well, and we've seen the Braves, in these rumors for Ohtani. So could it be? I personally don't think so, because I think Ohtani, we've seen the rumors about the short deals. I mean, you got to think, man. I mean, I will still hold on to the fact that Ohtani could sign a short deal. I personally think he's probably going to want to sign something long-term, right? I have mentioned before, could he do the short deal? I've said this now going back months, right? I think it's possible, but I would think if it were me at least, right, if I can get something long-term, I will, all right? But then again, I don't know. I don't know exactly what he wants. As for the Blue Jays, I don't know, man. I just don't see it with the Blue Jays. I just don't. I definitely think they'll be interested, right? I mean, you got, Rogers Communications owns the Blue Jays. They got money for days. They could absolutely make a run at Ohtani for sure. But I don't know. I just don't see it. They just haven't had a whole lot of success the last few years. Yeah, they've made the playoffs, but I don't know. It just feels like a team that can't really get over that hump. Can Ohtani help them get over that hump? Sure. I think that's another lazy one too. Another lazy excuse where, the Japanese market in Canada is very big. I mean, come on. Like, I don't know. I think, like, okay, then why didn't he go to the Blue Jays before, right? If that was such a big thing, then why didn't he just go to Toronto when he first came over, right? If he wanted to feel at home and there was definitely a large, Japanese population in Canada, well, why didn't he just go there in the first place? So I don't know. I just don't personally see that. Yeah, he has hit well at Rogers Center. I don't know. I just don't see it. I just feel like when you look at other teams, I just don't see the Blue Jays like above the Dodgers. I would personally put the Angels ahead of the Blue Jays, honestly. I think there's more of a chance he stays with the Angels than actually going to the Blue Jays. That's just me. But there is actually one more story that I can't believe I'm even going to even present this. I just thought it was, funny. Let's actually, let's go to this article. Did anyone else see this article? It was a few days ago. I guess I didn't even see this from back when Ohtani first came over. There was actually a psychic that predicted correctly where Ohtani was going to go. And she actually predicted that Shara Ogan, a life coach and professional clairvoyant, am I saying that right? Charvoyant? I don't even know. But she predicted that he would go to the Angels back in the day. She knows nothing about baseball. She was just using her psychic abilities and predicted it correctly. And so they went back to her and they asked her, like, how do you feel about these teams? And, yada, yada. She said the strongest positive energy she got, quite surprisingly, was from the team he's already been on, the LA Angels, right? Ohtani's sole purpose is to teach others that you can do anything, to inspire and empower people to rise up. At the root of this is an inborn commitment toward honor, duty, and service. So, I see Ohtani as a caring, curious, and insightful individual with a strong tie to family and nurturing. He may have a tough outer shell that may be hard to read into, but underneath he seems like a quiet, sweet, vulnerable human being. It's really that strong sense of family values as why I'm leaning towards the Angels. It could be your family of origin, your genetic family, the country where he's devoted and committed to, Japan, as well as I'm guessing he's created a bit of a family with the Angels. I know this is obviously this is a little silly, right? I'm pulling up a psychic as a news source right now, but listen, I'm not counting out the Angels. I'm not. All right, I've been saying this for a while now. We saw Aaron Judge go back to the Yankees when it looked like it was guaranteed he was going to the Giants. And he went back to the Yankees. We've seen this. We saw Aaron Nola. I thought Aaron Nola was good as gone. I thought Aaron Nola was going to be a St. Louis Cardinal. I thought at the last second he was going to be Atlanta Brave. And then he goes back. Ohtani, I'm just saying, man, he doesn't seem to have any ill will. And the Angels, every single year, they do try to compete. If he's comfortable there, if he enjoys being there, right, he feels like he's taken care of, I know, you're all going to laugh, and you're going to be like, oh, the Angels don't win. I know, right? But does he feel like maybe they could? We don't know what he thinks. We don't know. Yeah, they haven't had success with him and Trout, but maybe he feels like they can compete. I don't know. I would not count the Angels out just yet. And no, not just because of this article. I've thought that for a while, right? Change is a hard thing, man. And that's just an everyday normal person does not handle change very well, right? And maybe he feels like he wants to stay. Maybe he ends up signing a short-term deal with the Angels. I don't know, right? I'm sure the Angels would absolutely bring him back for a couple of years, right? So we'll keep our eyes out for this, but do not count the Angels out just yet. Everyone, real quick, I'm going to talk about Underdog Fantasy, and I'm just showing you what our sponsor is all about. And really the big focus today was football. And there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do on Underdog Fantasy. You got drafts, but I think the popular way to go are the pick'ems personally. And right now we got the Chargers and the Ravens on for Sunday Night Football. Just started not too long ago. And you can do in-game pick'ems as well. So Lamar Jackson, that's a popular one. You got Odell Beckham Jr. You got Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, right? You got a whole bunch of different ways you can go. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert. You got Austin Eckler, right? So you can make in-game picks right now. So if you're looking to maybe win some cash, here's your chance right now, and you still have the opportunity, considering they still are in game. And but as always, please play responsibly. That is the biggest thing overall. But we got Monday Night Football tomorrow night as well, and then we'll have some more football. And we got basketball all week. So definitely go check out Underdog Fantasy, your number one stop for all of your daily fantasy needs. But here we go. Let's get to some Yankee news. Let's get to some Yankee news, shall we? John Heyman's all over it this weekend. John Heyman said, screw the turkey. I'm going to be doing all the reporting this weekend. And taking a look at John Heyman here, we got a little something on the Yankees and Cody Bellinger. And the Yankees are supposedly having some doubts about Cody Bellinger, right? So it says here, the Yankees like free agent Cody Bellinger, but some Yankees people are worried about his hard hit rate even after his brilliant season. He seems like the perfect fit as an excellent center fielder who bats left-handed and hit .306 after a couple rough injury years. But some analytics apparently work against him, including hard hit rate, right? And the Yankees are also interested in Juan Soto. Now, that is one thing I have seen people say about Cody Bellinger is the exit velocity, the barrel percentage, the hard hit percentage, right? It's not very often where you see a lot of Reds, but you see these three this low. So the big thing with Bellinger is he gets the bat on the ball, right? He doesn't strike out a lot, right? But he also doesn't walk a lot either, right? Bellinger, he just had a knack this past year of just getting the job done, right? Putting the ball in play a lot this year. Will the Yankees, remember with the Yankees, they, if we go back to some of these comments made by former minor leaguers in the Yankees system, the Yankees like these dudes who can just hit the crap out of the ball. And does this show us that maybe they're not really getting away from that just yet? Maybe they still like the guys that can hit the crap out of the ball. Maybe they don't really want to go to a bit more of a contact-oriented approach. Obviously, yes, you do need that power in the lineup too, but I think a lot of Yankee fans are hoping that they can add some different dynamics to the lineup, a bit more contact, a bit more speed in the lineup, some more base running as well. Cody Bellinger would seem to fit that mold, but do they maybe think that his exit velocity numbers are not going to hold up very well over time? That's going to be something interesting to keep an eye out for. Listen, I'm going to say this until my face turns blue. I think Juan Soto is the guy. I think you got to go for him. I think you got to give that guy an extension offer that he can't refuse. It's pinstripes. Go get Juan Soto, and you make that guy a Yankee for life. You go give him $480 over 12, something he cannot refuse. Right. And I think the Yankees would be much better off, in my opinion. But I do think they should add some speed. Honestly, my personal opinion, this is what I would honestly do. I would really do, if you could somehow get rid of Giancarlo Stanton, it's going to be very hard to do. Maybe they could somehow get it done. I don't know. You could always just get rid of him. You could always just release him and just pay him the rest of his contract. That sounds ridiculous, though. But if you could somehow get him off the team, go trade for Soto, go sign Jung-Hoo Lee out of the KBO, right? So that way you get a little bit of both, right? You get the power in Soto, but you get a contact bat in Jung-Hoo Lee, who also has some speed. That's what I think personally. I think the Yankees are personally looking at Jung-Hoo Lee as a bit more of a better value, right? He is a bit riskier. I wouldn't even say a bit. He is riskier than Cody Bellinger, right? But Cody Bellinger, remember, I mean, maybe you could say maybe they're a little closer in risk, right, than maybe it meets the eye, right? Because remember, Cody Bellinger, he just had 3 down years. He was going through a lot of injuries. I do think that was a big reason for that. But, Jung-Hoo Lee, on the other hand, is coming from the KBO. So I think Cody Bellinger has a bit less risk value there, but I think maybe the Yankees could see Jung-Hoo Lee as an alternative to Cody Bellinger and then just go get Soto. I think if the Yankees had an offseason of Juan Soto and Jung-Hoo Lee, I think that would be a very, very successful offseason. And honestly, and then when, keep Judge out in right field, and then whenever Jason Dominguez comes back, you either put Soto or Judge in the DH spot, right? maybe Judge. Maybe put Judge as the DH. He can still play some outfield, though. Maybe he can rotate in and out, but get Judge off of his feet a little bit more, right? Try and keep him a bit more fresh, right? I could maybe see something like that. Yeah, Zach G, I know. Stanton's not being released. I know. I'm just saying. They got to get rid of that guy, man. He is just a logjam on that team. But if that would be the perfect offseason to me. Somehow get rid of Stanton, trade for Soto, sign Jung-Hoo Lee, get a pitcher. That's a perfect offseason to me, if you ask me. So, Grant, I disagree. I disagree with that. Unlikely you get Soto and keep Dominguez. I disagree. I don't think you would have to give up Dominguez. I think teams would really push for him, but I think the Yankees have some other options as well. I just personally don't think, because I think Soto's value is a little less than you might actually be thinking. Because remember, it's only 1 year of Soto. So I think Dominguez might be off limits there. And Dominguez is also hurt too. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for. So anyway, but the Yankees, maybe not as interested in Cody Bellinger as it might seem, but they are showing interest in Jordan Montgomery. This is hilarious. When I saw this, I laughed. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're actually going to have the audacity to give Jordan Montgomery's agent a phone call, or at least kick the tires? Are you kidding? You're kidding. Brian Cashman, are you watching this? Brian, what are you doing? Do you really think Jordan Montgomery is going to even think about coming back to the Yankees? You're out of your freaking mind, right? I know money talks at the end of the day, but Jordan Montgomery, he has said on record, right, once he was able to, well, he didn't say this word for word, but basically when he left, he was able to be himself and he can just pitch, right? And the Yankees, they didn't even view him as a guy that was like a playoff starter for them, postseason guy for them, So it's like, why would Montgomery want to go back there when he clearly was not seen with a lot of respect, or as much respect as he ended up, really rightfully earning, right? So I think this is hilarious. I don't think the Yankees have a shot at Jordan Montgomery. I don't think he even would give a second for a phone call with them. Maybe if they offer, a couple $100 million, okay, money talks at the end of the day. Yeah, Carter Hawkins, I agree. Don't ever burn a bridge. Monty should take the call, but sign elsewhere. Yeah, I always take the phone call. Hey, maybe Cashman's like, hey, you know what? We were stupid, man. We were stupid. We were wrong about you. We want you back, right? Yeah, I don't know. Probably too little too late there. Anyway, but the Yankees are at least kicking the tires on Jordan Montgomery. And when it comes to Jordan Montgomery, there are a couple other teams involved recently. The Rangers are looking for a reunion. The Cardinals are looking to bring him back. I definitely think the Cardinals have a way better shot than the Yankees of bringing him back. He did well for the Cardinals, right? The Cardinals, that was just a business move at the end of the day. That was the correct move. He absolutely has to know that was the right move for the Cardinals to make. But don't count out my Red Sox. Excuse my giraffe neck Robbie. But if you go back to the beginning of November, this was one of the first stories that we got in this offseason. First stories, right? The Red Sox spoke with Montgomery's agent. I really do think that says a lot. I really do. I think the fact that they just jumped out of the gate and they went right to Montgomery, I think when you show that early interest, right? I'm not sure how that became public or what. Maybe the agent put it out there. That's my guess. I'm guessing the agent probably put it out there. But the fact that the Red Sox that quick showed that much interest that early on, I think that could say something. And I think the Red Sox will definitely have a chance at him just because of how quickly they made the phone call, right? I'm sure there were other phone calls made too, but we'll have to see. But Montgomery would be huge for the Red Sox. So let's get to our last story before we wrap things up. We got a little Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Now, we pretty much know, it feels like pretty much every single team in Major League Baseball would love to have Yamamoto. It feels like roughly half the league has a shot, or at least a good shot at Yamamoto. But we have an idea of how this is going to go here. So according to SNY's Andy Martino, it looks like we got some stages that people are gonna have to go through, almost like a video game kind of a thing here. The first stage is a round of phone calls and Zoom meetings with all the interested teams. So this looks like it's going to be happening next week. And then Yamamoto is then expected to arrive in the United States for a series of in-person meetings and further negotiations with however many finalists make this second and presumably last stage of talks. The timeline for these in-person sit-downs is after baseball's winter meetings, which will allow teams a better sense of the pitching market if some other top hurlers are signed or traded in the interim, and allow Yamamoto's camp that same knowledge as well as perhaps extra negotiation leverage if remaining suitors are even more desperate for pitching. So, no surprise there, especially when you have so many teams interested in you, right? And you're obviously overseas, right? So it probably just makes much more sense to be doing phone calls and Zoom calls. And I can't wait, honestly. Let's see which teams fall out of it. Yamamoto, he's gonna sit down, right? He's gonna be sitting there like, yeah, okay, all right, that sounds good. All right. Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. All right. He's gonna be doing that like pretty much for every single Zoom meeting, and he's gonna get. Remember, it always takes like what is the old saying? It takes like 5 seconds to make a first impression. I wonder which team will be the first team that just swings and misses in the first 5 seconds of the meeting. Right? Which team will that be? I'm curious. Let me know. Which teams do you think will fall out of the phone call and Zoom meeting round? Let me know. If I were to make a guess, which team? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know which team. Whatever. I'll rile some Yankee fans up. Let's go with the Yankees. Brian Cashman probably just say something stupid. Hey, Yamamoto, I'm thinking, maybe like, 15 million per year. It sounds pretty good. It sounds like a pretty good freaking contract if you ask me, right? And then Yamamoto just hangs up the phone, right? And then the Yankees are kapow out of it. That would be hilarious. Probably not going to happen. But I'm seeing some of you, the Mets, Rick Prada saying the Mets. That'd be hilarious, right? I don't know though. Steve Cohen comes out and says, "Hey, enough of all the talk. We'll give you 350. How does that sound?" Oh, okay. I'm going to the Mets then. iTalk Studios is here. Ohtani Giants, Yamamoto Sox. Honestly, excuse my giraffe neck Robbie, but Yamamoto on the Red Sox is absolutely freaking perfect. And you know what's probably going to be happening? Now that I'm bringing this up, somehow my Red Sox will somehow screw it up in the Zoom meetings. Craig, don't you mess this one up, Craig. Counting on you, man. I need you to do well in these Zoom meetings. But everyone, I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. Not a ton to talk about tonight, but there was enough to talk about for at least a decent-sized show. Everyone, if you can, for me, hit the like button on the way out. The goal for tonight was 150. We're at 148, everyone. Oh, everyone. We hit 150. We hit 150. I love it. Everyone, hit the bell notification. I just uploaded a video earlier. The worst free agent signing for each team ever. Go check it out if you haven't already. Share tonight's show with anyone that missed it. And subscribe if you are new. And don't forget about our sponsor, Underdog. Thank you, Underdog, for sponsoring tonight's show. Everyone, I'm out of here. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm sure there will be some news tomorrow, so do expect a live show tomorrow night. And everyone, go have yourself a great rest of your evening. And just want to make sure. Nope, didn't miss anything there. Have a great rest of your evening. I can't talk. It's time for bed. Have a good evening, everyone. And I'll talk to you next time.